Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, it seems that the Amazon Lord of the Rings showrunner, the Rings of Power people, who have been causing massive controversy because of their involvement and their disregard for the lore of Lord of the Rings, well, it turns out there's a good reason as to why they're disrespecting the lore so much. They don't have the rights to the second age of Middle-earth in which they are pushing their adaptation. They only have, according to J.d. Payne and Patrick McKay, the showrunners, they admitted to Vanity Fair that they only have rights to Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, Return of the King, The Appendices, and The Hobbit. And now they think that they have what it is needed to tell a story of the second age. I am so sorry, but what the fuck were they thinking? They decide to do the second age, and they don't even have rights to it. So let's go on with the article. This is from Bounding into Comics, John F. Trent. And he stated, or Payne stated, we have the rights solely to Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King, The Appendices, and The Hobbit. And that is it. We do not have the rights to the Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, The History of Middle-earth, or any of those other books. Then why do your adaptation? Why? This is about the second, or the stuff that you're doing is the second age of Middle-earth. You don't have the rights to anything of the second age of Middle-earth. Why would you do this? One wonders why in the world someone would endeavor to bring to live action the second age when you don't have rights to the key materials that document the second age. Well, McKay has an answer. There was a version of everything we needed for the second age in the books we have the rights to. A version? Definitely not the same as what they are meant as and what they are seen as, but whatever. As long as we're painting within those lines and not egregiously contradicting something we don't have the rights to, well, you've already done that. There's a lot of leeway and room to dramatize and tell some of the best stories that Tolkien ever came up with. You're not doing that. You see, you've already egregiously changed the lore or contradicted something. There were no black elves or black freaking dwarves. There were no dark-skinned elves or dark-skinned dwarves. That's just fact. That's not me being racist. That's just fact. And pointing out facts, well, they honestly don't give two shits about your feelings. Despite the show not arriving on Prime Video until September, the show's first trailer and initial images, first published by Vanity Fair, reveals that they have already egregiously contradicted those books. They turned Galadriel into a commander of the Northern Armies. A Northern Army was created by King Ondahar and led by him when he defended Gondor from the invasion by the Wainriders of Rovanion. Ondahar's creation of his Northern Army and its use in defending against the Wainriders was detailed in Unfinished Tales, the books that they don't have rights to. Or one of the books that they don't have rights to. I've actually read Unfinished Tales. Very good reading. Galadriel was not a commander, although she did look upon the dwarves also with the eye of a commander, seeing in them the finest warriors to pit against the orcs, as Tolkien noted in Unfinished Tales. There is a difference between being a commander and looking upon someone with the eye of a commander. Indeed, there is. Galadriel was wise beyond her time. In fact, she was wise because of all of her years. She had a commanding eye, which is something that is expressed in Fellowship of the Ring and the other works. But hey, not that any of these idiots know anything, right? However, before he wrote that, he also wrote, Galadriel was more farsighted in this than Celeborn, and she perceived from the beginning that Middle-earth could not be saved from the residue of evil that Morgoth had left behind him, save by a union of all the peoples who were in their way and in their measure to oppose him. Meaning, the people of Middle-earth, man, dwarf, elves, and other free folk had to join forces. However, that did not mean that Galadriel joined on the front. She isn't leading forces into battle as the trailer depicts her. One would think she previously did. She would have done so in Lord of the Rings as well. Instead, she plays a very different role as a guide and ally as the queen of the elven realm of Lorien. Even if that is true, she still wouldn't have been there. No offense to Galadriel, she was not one to lead from the front. She was better at giving advice from afar. Her voice carried through magic. But yeah, the show also introduces us to a dwarf named Disa, or the princess. I would call her Diva, because, yeah. In Appendix A, Tolkien wrote, Dis was the daughter of Thrain II. She is the only dwarf woman named in these histories. It was said by Gimli that there were a few dwarf women, probably no more than a third of the whole people. They seldom walk abroad except at great need. They are in voice and appearance and in garb, if they must go on a journey, so like to the dwarf men that the eyes and ears of other peoples cannot tell them apart. Well, if you look at this Disa, she certainly doesn't look like a male dwarf. This has given rise to the foolish opinion among men that there are no dwarf women, and that dwarves grow out of stone, he added. Disa does not look like any other dwarves shown or the show featured. Another clear, egregious contradiction. Nevertheless, Payne and McKay once again showed their hubris and pride that they could do Tolkien's story better than Tolkien. McKay previously revealed his hubris when he told Vanity Fair, "Can we come up with the novel Tolkien never wrote and do it as a mega event series that could only happen now?" That is the epitome of hubris. In the new Vanity Fair article, Payne adds, "We took all these little clues and thought of them as stars in the sky that we then connect to write the novel that Tolkien never wrote about the Second Age." He wouldn't have wrote this. It's not part of what he wrote initially. Interestingly, they try to justify their hubris, sorry about that, by claiming, "We worked in conjunction with world-renowned Tolkien scholars." Really? The world-renowned Tolkien scholar that you had working with you originally walked off, and he was the top Tolkien scholar, Tom Shippey. "And the Tolkien estate to make sure that the ways we connected the dots were Tolkienian and gelled with the experts and the estate's understanding of the material." The thing is, Christopher Tolkien, when he died, his daughter took over. Apparently, his daughter has no idea how to handle the works of Middle-earth, because if she did, she would not have allowed this show to go forward. However, However, the production canned Tolkien scholar Tom Shippey. It's unclear why he was canned. Yeah, I believe he actually walked off. He wasn't canned. Vanity Fair suggested it was over a NDA breach, claiming he gave an apparently unsanctioned interview to a German fan site that July, opining on that the show could and could not explore. Not long after that, Shippey was no longer involved with the series. Really? I heard it was because he was not happy with what they were doing and how what they were doing was not really part of Tolkien's vision. That's what I heard. Who knows if the theory is true, but canning a prominent Tolkien scholar and then touting you worked with them to justify your egregious contradictions from Tolkien lore is despicable. Yes, it is indeed despicable. So what do you think of the fact that Amazon doesn't have the rights to the majority of the works that cover the Second Age? What do I think? Honestly, I think that this show should never have been attempted if they do not have the rights to the source material needed to tell this show or to tell this story. The fact that they thought that they could tell a better story than Tolkien from Tolkien's work is the amount of hubris that, well, dictators had before they lost wars that cost them their lives. Now, I'm not saying that these people deserve to lose their lives, but I am saying that their ignorance and foolish pride, their hubris, is enough to truly sink their careers if they continue to go down stupid paths like this and think that they could tell a better job, a better story, and do a better job than the works of the people whose work they are trying to tell. Anyway, folks, that is going to be the video. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think? Anyway, folks, this has been Orange Hat Reviews. Stay humble.